Carl Jung's 7 genius tricks to break free from manipulators. People don't trick you because they're smarter. They trick you because they know where you're blind. Carl Jung once said that what remains unconscious controls your life until you make it conscious. Every day, we meet people who try to shape our emotions, twist our words, or quietly pull our strings, not always out of malice, but out of habit, fear, or power. But what if you could see through it all? What if you could recognize the invisible games being played around you and reclaim your power with calm awareness? In today's video, Carl Jung's 7 genius tricks to break free from manipulators will uncover how to rise above subtle control and walk through life with clarity, confidence, and emotional independence. Comment below. Have you ever realized someone was manipulating you only after it was too late? Let's explore this truth together here on Spiritual Wisdom. 1. Mirror defense. Manipulators despise being exposed because their control depends on your emotional reaction. When you stay calm and mirror their behavior instead of reacting, you quietly dismantle their illusion of power. Reflecting their tone, their words, and their questions back to them forces them to face their own tactics, and in that reflection, their manipulation begins to dissolve. This isn't about confrontation or aggression. It's about clarity and spiritual awareness. As Carl Jung taught, everything that disturbs us in others reveals something within ourselves. The same principle applies here. When you hold a mirror to a manipulator, they come face to face with their own unconscious motives, and that realization breaks their control more effectively than any argument ever could. The mirror defense is a form of psychological self-mastery rooted in spirituality and spiritual awakening. It turns chaos into consciousness. Manipulators expect you to lose balance to explain, justify, or defend yourself because your emotional reactions are their fuel. But when you remain detached, composed, and aware, their strategy collapses. They try to provoke guilt, confusion, or doubt, yet you simply respond with centered stillness. Their words lose weight because your energy no longer feeds their drama. When you say calmly, "You think I'm overreacting?" or "You feel I don't care about you," instead of arguing or apologizing, you make them hear themselves. The moment they're forced to confront their own voice, reflected back at them, their manipulative power fades like a shadow in the light. This method works because it transforms emotional manipulation into self-reflection. You become the mirror that exposes what they're trying to hide, not through judgment, but through presence. Your awareness itself becomes the weapon. Spirituality teaches that true power is quiet, not loud. Stillness is stronger than chaos. The manipulator thrives in confusion. Yet when faced with calm, conscious energy, they lose their footing. Your detachment becomes magnetic. It unsettles them because they can no longer predict or control you. It's like trying to fight smoke. It slips through their hands, leaving them powerless. Using the mirror defense isn't just protection, it's evolution. Each time you choose reflection over reaction, you strengthen your spiritual core. You move from unconsciousness to mastery, from defense to divine observation. You learn that silence can reveal more than speech, that neutrality can expose what rage cannot. This is the essence of awakening, when you rise above the game instead of playing it. When you see the manipulator not as a threat, but as a mirror of their own unresolved pain, you transcend their reach entirely. Through calm reflection, you reclaim your sovereignty. You no longer bend under guilt or persuasion because you've remembered who you are, a conscious being whose peace cannot be stolen. And as you continue practicing this awareness, you'll notice that manipulation simply stops working on you. Not because others have changed, but because you have. Your energy, now rooted in spiritual awakening, becomes unshakable. The mirror defense is not just a psychological trick. It's a declaration of inner power. It's the moment you stop reacting to the world and start mastering it from within. If this message resonates with your spirit, show your reflection of truth, like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our spiritual wisdom. Type in the comments, "I reflect truth and protect my peace." 2. Emotion vacuum. Manipulators survive on the energy of your emotions. Their power doesn't come from truth or logic, it comes from your reactions. The moment you raise your voice, defend yourself, or over-explain, you hand them the keys to your inner world. They thrive when you feel anxious, guilty, or desperate to be understood. But when you remain calm, silent, and emotionally still, everything changes. Your neutrality becomes their confusion. Your silence becomes their mirror. They can no longer feed on your emotional energy because you've closed the door to their favorite weapon, your reaction. Carl Jung once said that everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. When you no longer allow irritation to rule you, you move from reaction to revelation. You begin to see the manipulator not as a threat, but as a test of your spiritual growth. The true strength lies in what you don't give away. Every word you withhold, every reaction you master, weakens their hold. Stillness is not passive, it's strategic. It's the language of power that few people understand. When you remain unreadable, you strip the manipulator of their script. They're left fumbling, uncertain, uncomfortable in the void you've created. This is the emotion vacuum, a sacred silence where their control disintegrates. In this space, your calm presence becomes louder than any argument, and your quiet confidence speaks volumes. You begin to notice how their tactics fail, how their energy collapses when yours no longer bends. This neutrality is not about indifference, it's about mastery. It's about rising above the level of reaction and reclaiming authority over your own energy. In spirituality, this is where transformation begins. True spiritual growth is not found in constant peace talks with chaos, but in the ability to sit in silence while storms rage around you. The manipulator's greatest fear is losing emotional access to you. Because once you stop feeding their need for reaction, their entire illusion of power crumbles. You are no longer their source. You become their lesson. When you stop explaining, defending, or proving, you begin embodying inner strength. You start realizing that your silence doesn't mean defeat. It means control. The manipulator cannot fight what does not fight back, cannot provoke what remains unprovoked. Your stillness becomes your shield, your calmness your weapon, and your peace your rebellion. In that unshakable quiet, you discover the ultimate truth. Power doesn't scream, it radiates. And when you radiate calm certainty, you reclaim your energy, your freedom, and your spirit. 3. Strategic delay. Manipulators have one favorite weapon: urgency. They thrive on rushing you into decisions before you can breathe, think, or feel clearly. Their power lies not in intelligence, but in speed, in their ability to overwhelm your nervous system and make you believe that time is running out. This is where Carl Jung's spiritual wisdom reveals a hidden art, the art of strategic delay. It means reclaiming the tempo of your own soul by slowing everything down. You do not answer immediately. You pause. You breathe. You give yourself space to observe rather than react. Because in that pause, you shift from being the controlled to becoming the controller. Manipulators rely on your impulse. The moment you stop giving them speed, their entire strategy collapses. When you slow down your reaction, you silently communicate power. Your calmness becomes unsettling to those who seek to dominate you. They expect panic, and instead, they meet stillness. They expect a desperate yes, and instead, they meet silence. Time becomes your ally, and their own urgency betrays them. This is why Viktor Frankl said, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space lies our power to choose." That space is the essence of your spiritual awakening. Jung believed that awareness, pure, patient awareness, turns manipulation into revelation. When you delay, you give the unconscious patterns of others enough time to expose themselves. Their intentions, once hidden, become clear. You begin to see their motives, their insecurity, and their need for control. Each time you hold your silence, you reclaim energy. Each delay becomes a sacred act of self-respect. You are teaching both yourself and others that your decisions are made from clarity, not pressure. In this stillness, you are no longer a puppet reacting to invisible strings. You are the one holding them. Carl Jung's spiritual wisdom reminds us that true strength doesn't shout or rush. It observes, reflects, and then moves with precision. A manipulator uses urgency to feed off your fear, but when you remain silent, they starve. Your refusal to be rushed is your declaration of sovereignty. You are saying, "I am not on your timeline. I am on my own." Strategic delay is not avoidance. It is awareness in motion. It is the ability to let silence work for you. In those quiet moments, your intuition sharpens, your mind steadies, and your authority deepens. The manipulator becomes trapped in their own tempo, confused by your refusal to dance to their rhythm. Time begins to reveal the truth. Those who pressure you fear losing control, while those who respect you will wait. Jung once said, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes." The pause gives you that inward look. It transforms chaos into clarity, reaction into wisdom. So when someone demands an instant answer, do not rush to fill the silence. Let them wait. Let the air grow still. Your delay disarms them more than argument ever could. Because power is not loud, it is patient. And when you learn to master your own rhythm, manipulation loses its grip entirely. Time becomes your weapon, silence your shield, and awareness your liberation. This is the heart of Carl Jung's spiritual wisdom. In the stillness between moments, you discover that no one truly controls you unless you surrender your timing to them. 4. Reward reversal. Manipulators control not through strength, but through the subtle art of emotional conditioning. They thrive on your reactions, feeding on your need for validation and your fear of disapproval. Carl Jung's spiritual wisdom teaches that once you awaken to this truth, the entire dynamic begins to crumble. Manipulators play on two frequencies, praise and guilt. They inflate your ego to make you crave their approval, and then deflate it to make you chase it again. But the moment you stop responding to this game, you break the cycle. You become untouchable. Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." This is the essence of reward reversal, recognizing the unseen strings that move you and then cutting them one by one until you are free. When you no longer reward manipulation with emotional energy, everything changes. You stop giving them what they want, your reactions, your explanations, your need to prove your worth. Instead, you remain calm, steady, and neutral, like still water that reflects truth, but does not ripple at every stone thrown at it. That calmness confuses them, because manipulators survive through emotional chaos. The quieter you become, the louder their discomfort grows. You start to see their tactics clearly. The sudden flattery after conflict, the guilt-laced reminders of what you owe, the backhanded praise designed to make you question yourself. But instead of reacting, you observe. You smile inwardly. You let their words fall into the silence of your awareness without offering energy in return. This silence is not weakness. It is power in its purest form. From the lens of spirituality and spiritual awakening, this process is not about revenge or dominance. It's about energetic alignment. Manipulators are not just emotional thieves. They are energetic parasites feeding on your vibrational output. Every sigh, every explanation, every tear becomes their sustenance. But when you choose detachment, you starve the illusion. You start to see the energetic exchange for what it is, a one-sided contract you no longer agree to. You pull your light back to yourself. You learn to invest it only where it grows, where it expands your peace instead of draining it. This is emotional sovereignty, the ability to remain in your own vibration regardless of another's manipulation. Jung believed that the journey of individuation, the becoming of one's true self, requires you to see through the false roles people project onto you. You stop performing in their theater. You walk off the stage and return to your inner kingdom. As the manipulator begins to lose control, they may panic. They may test you, provoke you, or suddenly act affectionate to regain access to your emotions. But your task is to stay centered in your energy, to remain unmoved by both flattery and guilt. You are no longer their mirror of control. You are now the mirror of truth. Every time you don't react, their own emptiness reflects back to them. It is not your duty to fix or save them. Your duty is to preserve your peace. This is where true spiritual wisdom lives, not in argument or resistance, but in awareness and self-mastery. When you practice reward reversal consistently, you realize something profound. Control only exists when you believe you need their approval. The moment you no longer seek it, you become the source of your own validation. And from that moment on, no manipulator can touch you, not because you've built walls, but because you've raised your frequency beyond their reach. 5. Ambiguity armor. In the realm of spirituality and spiritual growth, there is great wisdom in what Carl Jung might call the art of ambiguity armor, remaining calm, unreadable, and subtly detached in a world that constantly seeks emotional access. Manipulators survive on your reactions. They feed on predictability and patterns, studying how you respond so they can control your narrative. When you become vague, quiet, and emotionally centered, you shatter their blueprint. Every pause, every soft-spoken word, every mysterious glance becomes your silent act of rebellion. Jung once said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." In this context, what irritates a manipulator most is your silence, and mystery is a mirror of their own insecurity and inability to control you. When they cannot decode you, they lose power over you, because what they cannot understand, they cannot use. This is not about deception, it's about sacred self-protection. In spiritual growth, you must learn that not every emotion deserves exposure, and not every thought needs validation. Sometimes, your peace depends on how little you reveal. When you practice emotional stillness, you create a field of quiet power that no manipulator can penetrate. They begin to project their confusion onto you, and in that mirror of ambiguity, they reveal themselves more than you ever could. The more composed you are, the louder their instability becomes. This is spiritual alchemy, transforming your silence into strength, your restraint into radiant power. Ambiguity armor also teaches you to value timing over reaction. Instead of rushing to explain, you pause. Instead of defending yourself, you breathe. This simple act of slowing down rewires your energetic pattern. Jung understood that power is not found in control, but in self-mastery. By remaining unreadable, you signal that your energy is sovereign, your emotions are disciplined, and your presence is not for manipulation, but for meaning. When you no longer feed chaos with constant explanation, you ascend into a higher state of awareness, one where you observe rather than absorb. That is the essence of spirituality: awareness without attachment, compassion without chaos. So, when someone tries to provoke or confuse you, stay still within yourself. Respond with short, grounded answers. Let your silence echo louder than their noise. Your unpredictability becomes your armor. Your calmness becomes your weapon. You shift from being the controlled to the controller, not through dominance, but through spiritual composure. This is how you break free without fighting, how you win without wounding. In this sacred space of calm ambiguity, you no longer seek to be understood. You seek to understand yourself. And once you master that inner clarity, no manipulator can ever reach you again. 6. The exit threat. True power isn't loud, it's silent. It's the quiet confidence that you can walk away from anything or anyone that no longer aligns with your peace. Manipulators lose control the moment they realize you're not afraid to leave. Carl Jung's spiritual wisdom reminds us that detachment, emotional, mental, or financial, is the soul's way of reclaiming freedom. The one who can detach holds the real leverage, because manipulation feeds on dependency. When your happiness no longer depends on their approval or presence, their illusion of control collapses. They start to fear your absence more than they ever valued your presence, because your calm withdrawal exposes the weakness behind their power. Jung once said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." When you accept yourself, you no longer need anyone's manipulation to feel worthy. You become whole on your own. Manipulators survive by making you question your reality. They thrive when you doubt your strength, when you feel guilty for setting boundaries, or when you crave validation. But once you awaken to this pattern, you realize their control was never real. It existed only through your emotional participation. Walking away doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop sacrificing your peace to keep someone else comfortable. That moment of detachment is an act of consciousness. It's when the observer in you awakens. Your silence, your stillness, and your decision to no longer react become your spiritual armor. In that sacred distance, you stop being their pawn and start becoming your own master. Jung's psychology teaches that individuation, the process of becoming your true self, requires separation from the forces that distort your identity. Detachment isn't coldness, it's clarity. It's the realization that love cannot thrive where control exists. When you reach this level of awareness, your presence becomes precious. You no longer stay where you are tolerated. You go where you are valued. You stop trying to prove your worth and simply embody it. The manipulator senses this shift and panics because your calm independence reflects their inner chaos. They can no longer read or predict you've become a mystery they can't decode. This is the power of spiritual awakening. You transcend their tactics by refusing to play their game. Jung's spiritual wisdom reveals that the mind which is conscious of its own light can no longer be enslaved by shadows. Your detachment doesn't make you cruel. It makes you free. It teaches you that you can love deeply without losing yourself, and that you can care without being controlled. So when someone tries to manipulate you again, don't argue or explain. Simply understand. Step back and remember who you are. The power to walk away is not rebellion. It's self-respect in motion. It's your soul saying, I choose peace over chaos. Detachment is not escape, it's alignment. It's knowing your worth so profoundly that no illusion can make you forget it. Carl Jung's wisdom reminds us that true transformation begins when you stop trying to fix others and start mastering yourself. And when you do, you'll find that your silence speaks louder than their control. Your distance commands more respect than your presence ever did, and your freedom becomes the greatest lesson they'll never forget. 7. Master level strategy. Play dumb. Carl Jung believed that true power lies not in domination, but in awareness. And one of the most profound strategies he hinted at through his teachings is the art of playing dumb. This isn't weakness or submission. It's a high-level psychological and spiritual move, a form of invisible armor used by those who have achieved deep spiritual awakening and emotional mastery. When you face manipulators who try to twist your emotions or provoke reactions, the best response is not to fight back openly, but to act unaware while remaining sharply observant. This subtle game of consciousness confuses those who seek control, because manipulators feed on reaction, not reflection. By pretending not to notice their tactics, you allow them to expose themselves, to reveal the cracks in their own mask, while you remain calm, detached, and unshakably centered. It's the stillness of a lake that reflects everything, yet remains untouched by what it mirrors. Playing dumb in this context isn't about deceit. It's about maintaining sovereignty over your inner peace, which is the highest form of intelligence and spirituality. The manipulator thrives when they can provoke emotion, but when you refuse to engage, you take away their source of fuel. Jung understood that the mind of an awakened person is like a fortress. It doesn't crumble under manipulation because it recognizes projection for what it is: the shadow of another person seeking validation. By staying quiet and pretending to be unaware, you gain time, insight, and strategic advantage. You're not reacting impulsively, but responding with consciousness. It's like spiritual chess, where you let your opponent make all the moves while you study the board. Your silence, in this sense, becomes a psychological weapon. It makes them overconfident, believing they fooled you. But in reality, you're the one who has already seen through the illusion. Jung wrote, "People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul." The manipulator's tactics are born from this fear. And when you refuse to mirror it, you reveal their emptiness without saying a word. Every time you play dumb with awareness, you rise above ego-driven interaction and move closer to your spiritual awakening. You begin to realize that not everything requires reaction. Not every battle deserves your energy. This is emotional alchemy, turning the poison of manipulation into the gold of self-control. In this higher state of consciousness, you observe everything and absorb nothing. You become unreadable, unprovocable, and therefore untouchable. The manipulator's energy collapses when it finds no resistance to feed upon. This is why the most powerful people in any room are often the quietest. They understand that energy speaks louder than words. Through stillness, you master power. Through patience, you learn clarity. And through self-control, you attain true freedom. So when someone tries to pull you into their web of emotional games, remember, you are not here to prove your intelligence, but to protect your peace. That is the essence of spirituality and spiritual awakening, to move beyond reaction, to embody calm awareness, and to let your silence become the loudest expression of your wisdom. Leave your like and subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss new insights from spiritual wisdom. Keep growing in awareness and mastering your own energy through the teachings of Carl Jung. Type in the comments, "I am free from manipulation and fully in control of my mind." And remember, true freedom begins when you learn to see through the games of manipulation and reclaim your inner authority. As Carl Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Stay aware, stay centered, and never let anyone rewrite your truth. If you found this video enlightening, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you won't miss our upcoming videos that continue to guide you on your journey of self-mastery and spiritual awakening, unlocking the secret dimension that's already creating your future. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Carl Jung once revealed that the invisible forces shaping your destiny aren't out there, but within you. Every thought, emotion, and unspoken belief quietly constructs the world you wake up to each morning. In this episode of Spiritual Wisdom, we're going to uncover the secret dimension already designing your future, the hidden realm of the subconscious. As you listen, ask yourself, are you the author of your destiny or a passenger of your programming? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's explore together how awareness can transform fate into freedom. 1. Reality is multidimensional and selectable. Reality is not something solid or static. It is a living, breathing field of energy that bends and reshapes itself in response to consciousness. According to Carl Jung, what we call fate is often just the unfolding of the unconscious mind through symbols and experiences until we awaken enough to recognize that we've been participating in its creation all along. You are not manifesting something new. You are selecting from infinite timelines that already exist in the fourth dimension, where past, present, and future coexist simultaneously. Every possible version of your life, every success, every loss, every love, every transformation already exists in this vast web of energy. The key lies in where your awareness settles. Your consciousness is the selector, the divine mechanism that determines which version of reality you step into. When you begin to awaken spiritually, you understand that reality is multidimensional and selectable. Each thought, emotion, and belief acts like a frequency tuner. Whatever you focus on with enough energy becomes the vibrational doorway to a specific timeline. The fourth dimension isn't somewhere far away. It's the invisible field you move through every moment of your existence. The more you align your inner world with clarity, love, and intention, the more your external world rearranges to mirror that inner state. Jung called this mysterious interplay between mind and matter synchronicity, those meaningful coincidences that occur when your inner frequency matches an outer event in perfect harmony. They are not random. They are signals that you are moving through the precise timeline your soul has selected. You do not have to struggle to create your future. You only need to align with it. Manifestation becomes effortless when you understand that you are not commanding the universe, but cooperating with it. The fourth dimension responds not to your words, but to your vibration. When you dwell in anxiety, you tune into the dimension of chaos. When you dwell in peace, you step into the timeline of order. It is not magic, it is resonance. Energy flows where attention goes, and attention is the sacred tool that moves you across dimensions. In the stillness of your awareness, you become the architect of time itself, selecting the reality that matches your consciousness like a musician selecting a note on a cosmic instrument. The secret lies in awareness. Awareness is the bridge between possibility and experience. When you watch your thoughts without judgment, when you replace fear with trust, when you hold gratitude instead of resentment, you are quietly changing the coordinates of your reality. Jung believed that once the unconscious becomes conscious, life ceases to feel accidental. It becomes intentional. Each moment of mindfulness refines the signal you send into the quantum field. The universe does not respond to what you say you want. It responds to who you are being. Your emotions, your expectations, your silent assumptions are all commands written in the language of energy, instructing reality which version of the future to reveal. To awaken spiritually is to realize that destiny is not a fixed script, but a living collaboration between your soul and the universe. Every time you choose awareness over reaction, compassion over judgment, purpose over fear, you shift timelines. You are no longer pushed around by external events because you begin to sense the deeper order moving beneath them. The past, present, and future are not separate lines. They are layers of the same infinite moment, accessible through the vibration of your being. In this understanding, spirituality becomes less about escaping the world and more about mastering your resonance within it. You begin to live consciously, knowing that each thought is a brushstroke on the canvas of eternity, and every feeling is a signature shaping the dimension you step into next. Do you feel it too? The pull of that invisible dimension shaping everything ahead of you? If you believe reality is truly multidimensional and that your consciousness can choose the timeline you live in, affirm it right now in the comments. I am aligned with the reality I choose to create. 2. The mind is the projector, not the screen. Humanity has long been deceived by the illusion that the outer world determines the inner one, when in truth, the mind is not the screen, it is the projector. Carl Jung revealed that the psyche doesn't merely interpret reality, it generates it. Every emotion, thought, and vibration you hold inside becomes the light that casts your world into form. What you see outside is not reality itself, but a reflection of your inner consciousness, your beliefs, your energy, your frequency. When you awaken to this, spirituality stops being philosophy and becomes pure creation. You begin to see that your life is not happening to you, it is happening through you. Everything you experience, the people you meet, the challenges you face, the opportunities that appear, is a mirror designed to show you the exact frequency you are emitting. If your inner state is dominated by fear, scarcity, or resentment, then life will echo those vibrations through rejection, loss, and endless struggle. But when your heart starts vibrating with love, peace, and gratitude, your reality rearranges itself to meet that new rhythm. The same world becomes softer, more aligned, more alive. Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." This truth unveils the hidden law behind spiritual growth. The idea that what we call destiny is merely the unconscious running the show. The repetitive patterns, the painful relationships, the disappointments that seem to follow you are not punishments from the universe. They are projections of what still needs healing within you. When you finally recognize that you are the creator, not the victim, your relationship with life changes completely. You stop reacting and start observing. You stop chasing and start aligning. Every judgment you cast reveals something unintegrated within yourself. Every emotional trigger points to a forgotten wound, asking for your awareness. The 3D world becomes your sacred classroom, not your prison. Through the eyes of spirituality, every difficulty becomes a mirror guiding you home. As your awareness expands, you stop trying to fix the screen and focus on adjusting the projector, the mind, the heart, the consciousness. You learn that peace is not found by controlling circumstances, but by mastering your inner frequency. When you elevate your thoughts, release the illusions of separation, and choose to act from love instead of fear, your entire energetic field shifts. The outside world begins to harmonize with your new vibration, and suddenly, what once felt impossible begins to flow naturally. Synchronicities appear, opportunities align, and life begins to feel like a reflection of your highest self. This is the dimension Jung hinted at as the meeting point of psychology and spirituality, where the soul realizes it has always been the architect of its own destiny. Every thought is a brushstroke on the canvas of existence. Every feeling programs the next scene of your unfolding story. Reality is fluid, responsive, and alive, shaped by the light of your consciousness. The mind is not meant to be a prisoner of circumstances, but a divine projector of infinite potential. When you understand this, you reclaim your creative authority. You begin to see that energy responds to awareness, that the outer world bends to the quality of your inner state, and that the film of your life changes the moment you choose to see differently. Spiritual growth, then, is not about escaping the world, but mastering the art of projection learning to radiate peace in chaos, to emit faith in uncertainty, and to hold love in the face of fear. Because the secret dimension that's already creating your future is not somewhere outside, it's within the consciousness that perceives it. 3. Time is an illusion. Consciousness is the key. Time is not what you think it is. What you call past, present, and future are not separate realities, but fluid perceptions of the same eternal consciousness moving through different frequencies. Carl Jung once said, "Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes." And when you truly look within, you begin to see that time is merely a veil, a beautiful illusion projected by the human mind to make sense of existence. Consciousness, however, is not bound by that illusion. It stands beyond time, quietly shaping the path of your life long before you walk it. Every moment you experience has already existed as a potential within the vast field of your mind. You are not a traveler moving through time. Time is flowing through you, responding to the quality of your awareness. Imagine your consciousness as a projector and the world as the screen. The film that plays before you is not random. It is created by the frames of thought and emotion you hold within. From the fourth dimensional perspective, reality is not something that happens to you. It is something that emanates from you. Your outer world is the reflection of your inner vibration. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate, Jung wrote. And this is the secret that spiritual wisdom has whispered for centuries. Your mind is the true architect of destiny. When you begin to observe your thoughts rather than be ruled by them, you step into the dimension where creation begins. In this higher state of awareness, every emotion, every belief, every word becomes an energy-shaping form. The unconscious mind does not differentiate between what is real and what is imagined. It only responds to the power of your focus. Fear, doubt, and limitation create one version of the future, while faith, gratitude, and purpose create another. This is not magic. It is consciousness in motion. When you shift your inner frequency, the universe adjusts its rhythm to match yours. You start noticing synchronicities, mysterious alignments, and signs that seem to guide your steps. Jung called them acts of creation in time, and they remind you that you are not separate from the cosmos. You are participating in its unfolding. Everything in your life right now is a mirror reflecting the energy you carry. If you wish to change your future, you must change the vibration of your present. The key is not to fight against time, but to awaken to your timeless nature. Once you understand that reality bends to awareness, not effort, you begin to see life differently. Time is no longer a ticking clock. It becomes a living mirror of consciousness, a tool for transformation. When your thoughts align with love, your reality expands. When they align with fear, it contracts. The path ahead is not fixed. It is fluid, waiting for you to choose the frequency from which you create. As spiritual wisdom teaches, the more you awaken, the less you chase. You stop trying to predict the future and start embodying it. You realize the version of you that has already succeeded, already healed, already become whole exists now, in another layer of consciousness. To access it, you must match its vibration. The illusion of time dissolves the moment you live fully in awareness, because in the field of the soul, everything is happening at once. The power that creates worlds lives inside your consciousness. When you awaken to that truth, the future stops being something you wait for. It becomes something you remember. something you shape through the energy of who you choose to be right now. If you feel this truth awakening something within you, declare it now. Time cannot control me. My consciousness shapes my destiny. I am aligned with the dimension creating my future. 4. Controlled imagination is the gateway. Controlled imagination is the hidden architecture of your destiny, the silent sculptor shaping your tomorrows long before they arrive. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." That truth reveals why so many people feel trapped by circumstances they haven't yet learned that the mind is not a mirror reflecting reality, but a projector casting it. In spirituality and spiritual awakening, this is the key. Your outer world is not separate from you. It is molded by the inner pictures you persistently hold. Neville Goddard called this sacred process controlled imagination. The art of consciously entering that delicate state between waking and sleeping, the bridge where logic fades and the creative power of the subconscious awakens. It is here, in that calm in-between, that you can impress your desires upon the infinite, not by wishing or forcing, but by feeling them as already fulfilled. When you practice this art, you are not escaping reality, you are rewriting it. The universe listens not to your words, but to your emotional state, to the frequency of your belief. That is why Neville said, "Feeling is the secret. Thought alone cannot manifest. Only when thought is infused with conviction does it bend the field of reality." As you close your eyes and dwell in the emotion of having already received your desire, whether it's peace, love, or success, you begin to synchronize with the quantum fabric of existence. In that harmony, the outer world subtly rearranges itself to mirror your inner certainty. This is not fantasy, but divine science, where spirituality and psychology merge into one truth. The imagination is the language of creation. Carl Jung devoted his life to unveiling this mystery. To him, imagination was not idle dreaming, but communication with the deeper self, the archetypal realm that governs both psyche and matter. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes, he wrote. Spiritual awakening, then, is not about discovering something new. It's about realizing that the entire universe already lives within you. When you consciously feel the future as now, you awaken from the illusion of time itself. You stop waiting for miracles and become their source. You no longer chase life, you magnetize it. Every feeling becomes a seed planted in the soil of consciousness. And like a seed, it grows according to the belief that nurtures it. Controlled imagination is the act of watering those seeds with awareness. It is not about forcing results, but aligning your mind, emotions, and energy into one coherent vibration. When that inner unity is achieved, life flows effortlessly because you are no longer divided within yourself. Jung would call this the process of individuation, the merging of your conscious will with the vast intelligence of the unconscious, so that what you desire and what you are become the same thing. In that state, creation is inevitable. You move through life not as a seeker, but as a creator, quiet, calm, certain. Because once your imagination is disciplined and you're feeling aligned, the secret dimension that creates your future no longer lies outside of you. It breathes through you, shaping every moment in response to your inner vision, turning unseen thoughts into living form. That is the true alchemy of consciousness. the moment your spiritual awakening becomes your power to create worlds. 5. Desire is the engine of creation. Desire is not a flaw to suppress or a weakness to be ashamed of. It is the sacred mechanism through which consciousness creates and life expands. In the realm of spirituality and spiritual growth, desire acts as the divine fire that shapes destiny. It is the pulse of the universe flowing through your soul, calling you to become more, to express more, to reveal more of what already exists within you. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Desire is the voice of that unconscious force, the hidden blueprint of your higher self trying to reach your awareness. When you sustain a deep, authentic desire and give it your full attention, it reorganizes reality around you, like invisible hands sculpting the clay of experience to mirror the energy of your inner world. To desire something deeply means that, on a spiritual level, it already exists in another dimension of consciousness, waiting for you to align with it. Every possibility of your life is already alive within the field of potential, and desire is the bridge connecting your current state to that higher possibility. True desire does not come from lack or desperation, but from remembrance, the soul remembering what it has already chosen to experience. When you nurture this desire with focus, emotion, and faith, your vibration begins to synchronize with that unseen dimension. Suddenly, coincidences appear, opportunities unfold, and people cross your path as reflections of that inner resonance. This is not coincidence. It is consciousness arranging itself according to your most persistent emotional frequency. Desire, however, is also a test of patience and surrender. Many abandon their deepest callings because they confuse delay with denial. They believe the universe has ignored their prayers, when in truth, life is aligning everything in perfect order, refining both the vision and the vessel. Jung taught that the outer world mirrors the inner psyche. When progress seems slow, it is not because the world is against you. It is because your inner self is still expanding to match the magnitude of what you asked for. Desire exposes your hidden fears and attachments, revealing where your soul still doubts its own worthiness. This is why every longing is an invitation to grow, to purify your intentions until they no longer come from ego, but from the divine spark within. When you channel your desire through awareness instead of craving, it becomes prayer. It becomes a sacred dialogue between you and the universe. Each desire is a message from your higher self saying, "This is the direction of your evolution." The energy you feel when you long for something is not emptiness. It is the vibration of your future self calling you forward. Therefore, your task is not to chase the desire, but to embody it, to live as though it has already taken form. You must think, speak, and act from that fulfilled state, not as fantasy, but as alignment. The universe, being a perfect mirror, reflects the state of your consciousness. When you radiate gratitude, certainty, and peace, reality bends to that frequency. As within, so without. This universal truth means that creation begins not with action, but with belief. Desire is the seed of every miracle. When held with faith and nourished with patience, it blooms into form through the soil of time. You are not here to suppress your desires, but to refine them into instruments of creation. Each authentic longing is an aspect of divine will expressing itself through you. When you understand this, you stop doubting the process and start flowing with it. You realize that every desire you hold with love and awareness is not something separate from you. It is a fragment of destiny waiting to return home. And as you align your consciousness with that truth, you step into your creative power, transforming desire into divine manifestation and awakening to the profound realization that life itself is your masterpiece, shaped by the fire of your own becoming. If this message has sparked something within you, let us know in the comments by writing, "Desire creates my reality." Your words carry power, and your engagement helps us share more spiritual wisdom with the world. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom so you won't miss the next revelation waiting for you. 6. The universe is a perfect mirror. Everything unfolding in your life is not a divine punishment or random luck. It is the mirror of your consciousness, perfectly reflecting what lives inside you. The universe is not a judge. It is a mirror that simply returns what you project through your thoughts, emotions, and energy. When your inner world is chaotic, the reflection will appear chaotic. When your heart finds harmony, the reflection becomes serene. This is the foundation of spiritual wisdom. And as Carl Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Life does not happen to you. It happens from you. Every fear you nurture, every belief you repeat, every image you hold in your mind writes the invisible code that reality obeys. Imagine your mind as a projector and the universe as the screen. You cannot change the movie by attacking the screen. You must change the film inside the projector. If you live in resentment, the field amplifies more reasons to resent. If you live in gratitude, it multiplies blessings. The quantum field, what mystics call the all, responds to vibration, not words. It does not judge. It does not punish. It simply echoes. When you think thoughts of lack, life reflects scarcity. When you embody abundance, life brings opportunities that align with your frequency. What you send out emotionally is what you receive experientially. Carl Jung reminded us, who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes. To awaken means to stop begging the mirror to change and start shifting the expression you wear before it. When you breathe deeply and create safety within, the external world mirrors that calm. When you carry tension and fear, life reflects resistance. So practice serenity. Practice honesty. Speak kindly to yourself. Each act of integrity and awareness reshapes the reflection. The universe listens not to your words, but to the energy beneath them. You are not at the mercy of fate. You are the artist painting reality with each emotional brushstroke. The key is consistency. You cannot expect harmony from chaos of mind. To shift your future, shift your daily emotional state. Wake up and choose one feeling to inhabit peace, joy, confidence, and practice it until it becomes natural. Speak to life as if it already supports you, because it does. When pain arises, instead of saying, "I knew it," say, "This is feedback, not fate." Every obstacle is a message from the mirror, guiding you to refine your inner signal. Bless your lessons, not your fears. Release old stories that say you are not enough, and replace them with truth. You are a living participant in the creative dialogue of existence. Rumi once said, "What you seek is seeking you, but it cannot find you until you align with its frequency." When you embody love, love recognizes you. When you live from worthiness, opportunities flow like rivers toward the sea of your becoming. Try it today. Choose one intention, hold it in your heart with calm certainty, act on it gently, and watch how the world rearranges itself around your new vibration. Reality is not fixed. It's fluid, sensitive, responsive. It listens to your inner tone. So speak clearly, love deeply, and live consciously, for the universe is always listening, always mirroring, always waiting for you to remember that creation begins within. 7. The technique for accessing the fourth dimension. The process of unlocking the fourth dimension begins with the precision of your desire. You cannot approach creation vaguely. The universe responds to clarity. When you define exactly what you want, you give your subconscious a destination to move toward. Most people never receive what they truly want because they never decide what that truly is. They drift between conflicting wishes. But when you commit to one clear desire, your inner world begins to organize around it. In spirituality, this moment of decision is sacred. It is when your conscious will speaks to the divine intelligence within you and declares, "This is what I am ready to experience." Once your desire is defined, you move into the next phase, constructing an inner scene that implies your wish is already fulfilled. The scene must feel natural, believable, and emotionally satisfying. You are not forcing reality. You are embodying the vibration of completion. Carl Jung often said that whatever you hold in your imagination will eventually manifest in your reality. And this truth reflects the foundation of all spiritual awakening. The subconscious accepts emotional conviction, not external evidence. Therefore, when you imagine a scene where your desire has already come true, you are programming your inner world to match the outer one that must follow. This is why great spiritual teachers insist on living in the end, not merely hoping for it, because creation begins from being, not from wanting. The third step is to enter the subtle state between wakefulness and sleep, where your conscious mind quiets and the subconscious becomes highly receptive. This liminal state, often called the hypnagogic state, is the gateway between dimensions, the meeting point of thought and manifestation. In that stillness, your critical mind softens, and every feeling, image, or assumption is absorbed deeply into your psyche. This is where the fourth dimension of creation truly operates, for it is not a place in space, but a frequency of consciousness. The mind that knows how to rest consciously here wields the same creative force that shapes galaxies. Jung described this as the realm of the collective unconscious, where symbols, archetypes, and inner images connect to the structure of reality itself. Finally, you must enter the imagined scene and feel it real. Do not stand apart from it as a watcher steps inside it as a participant. Feel the weight of your body in that new reality, the warmth of the air, the joy of fulfillment, the peace of completion. Every sensory detail becomes an affirmation that your desire already exists. As you persist in this feeling and drift into sleep, the scene imprints itself upon your subconscious mind, which begins to rearrange your outer world to match your inner one. This is the silent law of creation. What you feel as true in your inner dimension will crystallize in time and space. The longer you sustain that feeling, the faster your reality conforms. In spirituality, this practice represents the merging of consciousness and energy, the masculine principle of intention meeting the feminine principle of imagination. It is the alchemy of thought into matter. The subconscious, like fertile soil, does not question the seed you plant. It simply grows whatever emotion and belief you sustain. Therefore, feed it not with fear or doubt, but with conviction and love. This is the essence of spiritual awakening, realizing that the outer world is a mirror of the inner one. The fourth dimension is not somewhere out there. It is the unseen layer of consciousness shaping your tomorrows from the vibration you hold today. Each night, as you enter this sacred practice, remember that you are not escaping reality. You are authoring it, guided by the timeless wisdom of your own higher mind. If this message resonated with you, make sure to subscribe for more wisdom on how desire fuels creation and how you can access the higher dimensions of consciousness. Your journey to mastering the unseen starts here. 8. Conscious creation requires discipline and responsibility. The true measure of spirituality is not found in moments of ease, but in your ability to hold inner conviction when everything outside contradicts it. This is where conscious creation truly begins. Every moment of your life presents a dimensional crossroads. One path keeps you trapped in the past, reacting to what already exists. The other opens to a higher future, created from the state of consciousness you choose to embody now. When you react to appearances, you give power to the illusion of limitation. But when you respond from faith, from the awareness that life is shaped by unseen spiritual laws, you begin to move from victimhood to mastery. This is the spiritual discipline that Carl Jung hinted at when he said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." To create consciously is to live with awareness of this invisible mechanism. The truth that your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs are not passive. They are energetic instructions to the universe. Every emotion you sustain becomes a signal. Every belief you cling to becomes a magnet that attracts experiences matching its frequency. Spiritual growth, therefore, is not merely about positive thinking, but about emotional mastery learning to remain inwardly consistent even when outer circumstances waver. This inner steadiness is what separates those who drift through life from those who awaken to it. To choose your future freely is a sacred responsibility, for freedom without discipline leads to confusion. Conscious creation asks you to cultivate mental clarity, emotional coherence, and unwavering faith that reality responds to vibration, not circumstance. When the world challenges you, when outcomes seem delayed, that is the universe testing the strength of your inner conviction. The spiritually mature do not chase appearances they create from alignment. They understand that the outer world is only a mirror, reflecting the state of their inner being. Every reaction either reinforces an old pattern or activates a new potential. The wise one learns to pause before responding, to breathe, and to choose the state of consciousness they wish to sustain. Over time, this awareness becomes second nature, and life begins to rearrange itself to match the frequency of that chosen state. Discipline, then, is not punishment, it is devotion. It is the daily act of remembering that you are the sculptor of energy, not the sculpture itself. Spirituality becomes your compass, guiding you to act not from fear, but from faith, not from confusion, but from clarity. Faith, in this sense, is not blind hope. It is the deep knowing that what you align with inwardly must eventually take shape outwardly. And so, you remain patient, consistent, and grateful, understanding that reality is slower than thought, but obedient to it. The future is not written in stone. It is sculpted in consciousness. When you choose love instead of resistance, when you nurture inner peace instead of chaos, when you hold steady in faith instead of surrendering to fear, you begin to unlock the secret dimension that has always been creating your life. The unseen becomes visible, the impossible becomes natural, and spirituality transforms from an idea into a living experience. Conscious creation, at its essence, is about responsibility, the willingness to guard your thoughts, refine your emotions, and trust the intelligence of life unfolding through you. And in that sacred alignment between awareness and reality, you realize that your destiny was never waiting for you to find it. It was waiting for you to awaken to it. And as we close this journey through the secret dimension shaping your future, remember what Carl Jung once said: "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." The truth is, your future isn't waiting to be created. It's already unfolding through the patterns of your thoughts, emotions, and choices today. So stay aware, stay present, and let your inner wisdom be the architect of what's to come. If this message resonated with you, don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom. Turn on the notification bell so you won't miss our upcoming videos on Jungian psychology, consciousness, and spiritual awakening. Your future self will thank you for it.